The hearing room was packed. Epstein survivors sat in the front row. Lawmakers shuffled papers. C-SPAN cameras locked in. And Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, opened her binder and prepared for battle. She did not come to answer questions. She came to insult the people asking them. Representative Jamie Raskin, a constitutional scholar who taught law for 27 years, pressed her on why the Justice Department released victims' names while redacting the names of powerful men. Bondi snapped, "You do not tell me anything. You washed-up loser. You are not even a lawyer." That was the first 60 seconds. So why is Pam Bondi being questioned in today's hearing over Jeffrey Epstein files? Because a law Congress passed in November demanded 6 million pages. Bondi released 3 million. The other 3 million sit inside a DOJ terminal, accessible only 9 to 5, Monday through Friday under supervision. Because when Republican Thomas Massie caught Les Wexner's name redacted in an FBI document, Bondi claimed they fixed it within 40 minutes. 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed, Massie replied, because victims of a serial predator sat 6 feet behind her while she shouted about the Dow Jones hitting 50,000 and refused to turn around and apologize. Representative Pramila Jayapal asked her to face the survivors and say she was sorry her department exposed their identities to the world. Bondi said she would not get in the gutter for theatrics. Then came the moment that silenced the room. Representative Dan Goldman asked the Epstein survivors to stand. How many of you requested meetings with the Justice Department and received no response? Every hand went up. How many of you have confidence this department will support you? Not a single hand rose. Bondi watched that happen. Then she said, "We want to work with them. Not we failed you. Not we are sorry. Not we will do better. We want to work with them." Representative Becca Ballin tried to ask whether President Trump knew about Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's Epstein ties before appointing him. Bondi refused to answer. Instead, she attacked Ballin's record on anti-Semitism. Ballin, whose grandfather was murdered by the Nazis at Mauthausen, stood up and said, "Do you want to go there, Attorney General?" Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really? Then she walked out. Kyle Rittenhouse, of all people, called for Bondi's resignation. Pramila Jayapal accused the DOJ of surveilling her search history and bringing a burn book of her emails to the hearing. Marjorie Taylor Greene has distanced herself. MAGA activists are furious. The binder Bondi waved at the committee contained no new revelations, just the same 3 million pages and a lot of defensive rage. So here is the uncomfortable truth. This hearing was never about finding answers. It was about watching a woman who promised transparency spend 5 hours refusing to provide any. It was about redactions that protect the powerful and expose the vulnerable. It was about survivors raising their hands and no one in power raising theirs back. Bondi said the Justice Department did its very best in the time frame allotted. 500 lawyers worked around the clock. Errors were inevitable. Maybe that is true. Maybe 3 million pages in 30 days is an impossible task. But here is what is not inevitable. Calling a member of Congress a washed-up loser on national television. Refusing to apologize to women who were trafficked as children. Attacking a Holocaust survivor's granddaughter because you do not want to answer a question about your boss. That is not a mistake. That is a choice. And the survivors saw it. They sat in those chairs, watched the Attorney General of the United States shout and deflect and mock. When asked if they believed she would help them, they kept their hands at their sides. Bondi shook hands with Republicans and walked out when it was over. The survivors went home. 3 million pages are still locked in a building where the public cannot see them. Why is Pam Bondi being questioned? Because the law says 6 million pages. She gave 3. Because the powerful got redactions and the victims got exposed. Because she had a room full of women who needed her to say 2 words. I am sorry. And she chose insults instead. The hearing is over. But the question is still sitting in those empty chairs where the survivors raised their hands and no one answered. How many more hearings will it take before someone does?